Up, and away! Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 portrayals of Superman.
There's Superman! Look, it's Superman!
For this list, we will be looking at both live-action portrayals of the Man of Steel, as well as voice work from cartoons and other media.
Is that Superman?
Girl, what are you doing right now?
Hey, Superman!
Hey, what's that?
Lantern. Green Lantern.
Number 10. Danny Dark, Super Friends.
It's Superman!
Right. And the show's over, gentlemen.
There was nothing quite like the campy, ridiculous superhero cartoons of the 70s and 80s, and none was more iconic than the Super Friends.
The signal's coming from that old mansion. They'll have to excuse me for not knocking.
Danny Dark, who was already famous for his voiceover work in a slew of commercials at NBC, was known as the voiceover king, and was the perfect fit to lead the cheesy Super Friends for well over a decade and through 7 incarnations.
Up, and away!
Number 9. Tim Daly, Superman, the Animated Series.
I'm listening.
The 90s saw a renaissance of superhero cartoons, and with almost every iconic superhero receiving their own shows, the Man of Steel was no exception.
You will never control me, Luthor. Never!
The show drew inspirations from both the Silver Age of comics and the 80s retcons, and Tim Daly managed to portray a Superman that felt timeless.
Of course.
Daly was so popular among fans that over the years he returned to the role in a number of well-received DVD movies, such as Justice League Doom.
I'm going to have to disagree with you, sir. Everything matters. Everybody matters.
Number 8. Kirk Alyn, Superman and Atom Man vs. Superman. Plenty of actors have donned the iconic blue and red, but Kirk Alyn was the first. For years, audience had seen and heard the Man of Steel in the comics and radio, but Alyn gave them their first glimpse of him on the big screen.
You only got that because Superman is partial to you.
His films appeared in serialized format, being shown in segments before feature films, and he helped set the groundwork for Superman films for years to come.
Don't let them get away. Go after them.
At your service.
Alyn was even given a cameo in the 1978 Superman film as Lois Lane's father.
Lois, please read your book.
No one ever believes me.
Number 7. Brandon Routh, Superman Returns. Although there wasn't an abundance of high points in this one-off Superman film, Brandon Routh's acting was one of the few.
Well, I hope this experience hasn't put any of you off flying. Statistically speaking, it's still the safest way to travel.
The film emulated the feel of the comic books of the 30s and 40s, as well as the films of the 70s and 80s.
You know, Lois, I wanted to ask you about that.
Hey, I'm gonna run downstairs for some fresh air. Great!
Routh's naturalistic acting made a somewhat lackluster script and rigidly written character somewhat engaging.
You wrote that the world doesn't need a savior. But every day I hear people crying for one.
Although because of a series reboot, Routh never returned to the role. He appeared in various other comic book-inspired roles, including a superpowered vegan in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and the Atom in Arrow.
You are getting married? Guess there really is a kettle for every pot.
Number 6. Dean Cain, Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman.
Your folks would be proud of you. We sure are.
Thanks, Mom.
As the name suggests, this iteration of Superman largely focused on Superman's secret identity, Clark Kent, and his romance with Lois Lane, played by Terry Hatcher.
But there are things about me that you don't know. That you may never know.
Instead of portraying the mild-mannered Clark as a humble introvert, he appeared as a highly accomplished and well-respected reporter.
Let's hit it.
Get on it, will you? Mind if I ask where we're going?
His portrayal mixed things up by depicting Clark, not Superman, and the character's true persona. His was a portrayal of Clark Kent that truly had a lasting impact, as many subsequent actors have played the reporter far less timidly.
You like to be on top. Got it.
Don't push me, Kent. You are way out of your league.
Number 5. George Reeves, Superman and the Mole Men and Adventures of Superman. Superman finally got his first non-serialized big screen appearance in 1951, with the talented George Reeves in the titular role.
I'll take that gun, Davis.
The film led into a highly popular television series, and largely thanks to his acting talents, Reeves became a celebrity and the first actor to become famous nationwide as Superman.
It's all right, Jim. Superman. How you feeling?
Sadly, Reeves also became known as the first victim of the alleged Superman curse. After growing dissatisfied with his role and a slew of personal problems, Reeves tragically took his own life in 1959. Number 4. Tom Welling, Smallville.
Actually, Pete, I'm having second thoughts. I don't think signing up for the team is such a great idea.
Focusing on the formative years of Clark Kent, Smallville chronicled the days of Superman before he was Superman, including the development of his powers and meeting key figures like Lex Luthor and Lois Lane.
I could have sworn I hit you. You did.
Over the course of 10 seasons, Welling showed Clark growing from a high schooler conflicted about his unique abilities into a force for good.
You've got super speed and super strength and super hearing and x-ray vision.
And I have a deadline, Lois. Now, please, if you would excuse me.
The phenomenal success of the show was thanks in no small part to Welling's acting. And at the end of the day, he has played the character longer than any other live-action actor.
It's not about making the easy decision. Sometimes it's about finding that last bit of good in someone and saving them from themselves.
Number 3. Henry Cavill, DC Cinematic Universe.
You okay?
After the success of Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight franchise, and in order to differentiate themselves from rival Marvel comics, DC rebooted the series with a much more serious version of Supes.
I have so many questions. Where do I come from? Why did you send me here?
Fortunately for the team behind Man of Steel, Cavill managed to bring a stoicism to the role rarely seen by someone in tights, while still managing to convey a real sense of hope, wonder, and even joy at times. Things are only bound to get more interesting as Cavill's Superman is set to face off against Batman next summer in a movie that totally doesn't look dumb at all.
Tell me, do you bleed? You will.
Number 2. George Newbern, Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
I'd like to stay and look into it, but I'm expected back in Metropolis.
After the success of animated series like Superman and Batman, they, along with other heroes, were brought together for a new super show.
That went well.
How does Batman do it?
Due to other contractual obligations, Tim Daly was unable to reprise his role as Superman, and handed the reins to George Newbern.
Whatever that thing is, I've got to stop it.
Unlike the similarly premised Super Friends, he played the part without a hint of irony or cheesiness. Newbern excelled in the role, with a voice that could only be described as heroic and noble.
I once thought I could protect the world by myself, but I was wrong. Working together, we saved the planet.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions.
Lois, whenever I misled you, it was for your own protection. But now I'm telling you the truth. Clark Kent and Superman are one and the same.
Gee, Lois, you look nifty today.
Hmm? Oh, Clark. Have you been there all along?
Yeah, for 4 hours.
Number 1. Christopher Reeve, Superman series. If one actor could ever convey a sense of truth, justice, and the American way, it was Christopher Reeve.
I don't know what to say, Father. I'm afraid I just got carried away.
Far from a traditional action star, Reeve was plucked from obscurity to play the iconic role. He approached the part as a dual role, drawing inspiration from Cary Grant for Clark Kent and portraying Superman with a vulnerability not seen before in the character.
Hi. Don't bother, I think it's dead.
As a result, even a decade after his tragic death and almost 30 years after playing the character, for many, he is still the face of Superman.
Well, I, on the other hand, could stop them with my detonator.
All right, Luthor. Where is it? Where's a detonator?
Do you agree with our list?
I won't let you do that.
Which is your favorite portrayal of Superman?
If there's a chance I can save Earth by turning myself in, shouldn't I take it?
For more powerful top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
There you go.
Again!
No, I'm sorry. Only one ride to a customer.